Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations present Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the Air in The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've just been handed a message that came in from Grover's Mill by telephone. Just one moment, please. At least 40 people, including 6 state troopers, lie dead in a field east of the village of Grover's Mill. Their bodies burned and distorted beyond all possible recognition. Ladies and gentlemen, I have just been informed that we have finally established communication with an eyewitness of the tragedy. Professor Pearson has been located at a farmhouse near Grover's Mill, where he has established an emergency observation post. As a scientist, he will give you his explanation of the calamity. The next voice you hear will be that of Professor Pearson, brought to you by direct wire. Professor Pearson.
Of the creatures in the rocket cylinder at Grover's Mill, I can give you no authoritative information, either as to their nature, their origin, or their purposes here on Earth. Of their destructive instrument, I might venture some conjectural explanation. For want of a better term, I shall refer to the mysterious weapon as a heat ray. It's all too evident that these creatures have scientific knowledge far in advance of our own.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Weigh-In, and we're glad you're here with us. You've heard this terminology before. It's called alienation, and that's the subject matter of today's show. What's the full title, Julian?
ALIENATION, Extraterrestrials Living Among Us. So this is like a what if episode.
So it makes you think.
Yes. So what if today, 2020, right now, aliens landed? Okay. Now, not only do aliens land, they want to integrate in society. And all the governments, all the leaders, all the countries, all the nations around the world, they just okay it. Okay? So now we have aliens. So we want to talk about the backlash. We want to talk about the psychology. We want to talk about how humanity moves forward. So I want to start with xenophobia. So xenophobia is a fear of, people from different countries, a bias, a prejudice.
Correct.
So first we'll start off with physical prejudice. So like you have alien, and we'll say these aliens are humanoid, but they obviously are aliens. So maybe they have tentacles, maybe they have green skin.
Yeah, they might have some thumbs, and they might look like they operate like humans, but they're not really humans.
So how do you think that the world is going to react in 2020?
Well, I think it's not going to be as good as you think it would be, but as time goes by, humanity could settle in with it. But if you harken back to the Orson Welles War of the Worlds stuff that introduces the beginning of our episode, what he is saying more or less about the film, what Orson is saying more or less about the story, and it's exactly what H.G. Wells had prophesied in his story, was that technology is going to bring a lot of strange changes in the world, and even if we do get aliens, humans, by default, are not going to be happy with it, because we are inherently a very prejudiced globe.
So I'm with you. I'm right with you.
So
there,
I don't
brother.
think they're going to accept it that fast.
No,
they might.
I think we can't even accept different skin colors. We still have racial divides. So like another species, an extraterrestrial species that's interplanetary, that comes from a different galaxy, different solar system,
and looks different than us somewhat.
And looks different than us. They're humanoid, like they have opposable thumbs, like arms, legs, but they look different. Skin color's different, like physiology is different. I think the natural human reaction is to think that this is repugnant. Like we cannot even deal with like this guy's too pale or this guy's too brown. How are we gonna deal with aliens?
I don't know.
I don't think it can happen.
Well, it can't happen the way you're talking about. I don't think where like they land and they come out of a craft and they look semi-human.
Yeah,
and they have a translator.
We're here, bitches. We need to be here.
What's going to happen is one of the guys that's surrounding the perimeter of the security net that surrounds this craft, or wherever it lands, some dude's going to go. He's going to fire. He's going to set off a round of fucking SR-71 bullshit. He's going to shoot the aliens, and it's going to spiral out of control. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I'm with you. Go ahead.
What'll probably end up happening is, let's say the intentions are actually good of this alien, right?
Okay.
So after this crisis that takes place, which maybe almost sets the whole universe afire, feasibly, if they have enough firepower to destroy the whole universe, we realize they're actually here on a mission for good, and it's going to make us better. How will that work? Well, people are still going to think that they're going to lose their jobs because somebody else is stealing my factory job, whatever it might be. I don't know. I don't. In this day and age, I'm looking at it from the year 2020 and how polarized everything is.
So let me pause and let me bring up a few movies that are alien based.
Okay.
So you have the whole Alien franchise that started in 1979. You know, with Alien, Alien 2, all the way up to Prometheus and all of that. And this is in no random order, but just movies involving aliens. You have Cloverfield. You have E.T., the Extraterrestrial. You have Arrival. So you have The Blob.
Oh, I love The Blob, yeah.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Day the Earth Stood Still. The Fourth Kind.
Ooh.
Independence Day. The Last Starfighter. Species, Transformers, which I thought was dope, even though they're mechanical, it's still considered alien, and War of the Worlds. So, like, you have all of these different movies, you know, from the mind of all these great writers and directors, and the aliens are opposition. Maybe not E.T., but like most of the movies that we see, the aliens are opposition. And there's already the psychology, and there's already the philosophy and the zeitgeist of alien abductions and all of that.
Well, I think it's ingrained in our mind these days. So there's no chance that
aliens are a threat.
Yeah, because it's been
built
created
into
that
pop
way.
culture and just regular social norms. That if a creature comes from a different planet,
It's gotta be bad.
It's got to be bad.
Yeah.
Only because, and maybe not only because, but definitely because they have a higher intelligence because they've mastered interplanetary,
and they were able to come here. Yeah,
transportation.
Sure.
You know.
Well, like you said, it's ingrained. It's because of fiction and mythology and everything else. It's been ingrained in our mind that anything that we don't understand has got to be inherently evil or bad.
It's got to be inherently evil or bad.
Like in all the films that you just mentioned, I don't think there's one of them in there where anybody really accepted anything. Like E.T., they're not really trying to kill him per se, but you get the impression that if they captured him, they probably would dissect him anyway.
Yeah. So going back to Arrival with Amy Adams, and like how she was trying to decipher the language of the aliens, which the aliens were trying to give us gifts. They were trying to make us understand time and human beings, their relevance to time. Like, they were trying to give us a gift, but we still inherently as human beings rejected it. You know, spoiler alert for a movie that's been out for, 4 or 5 years.
That's a Day the Earth was still kind of a groove going on, too.
Great movie.
Yeah, it really is a good movie.
The Last Starfighter with Randy Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr. was an awesome movie to me because it really broke down the politics of a humanoid being, and a humanoid alien trying to coexist.
Oh, you're talking about Enemy Mine, right?
Oh, Enemy Mine. Okay, yes. Not The Last Starfighter. Enemy Mine.
Starfighter's kind of a fun film, but it's not about aliens.
Yeah. You're right. I apologize. Enemy Mine.
Oh, that's ahead of its time.
Yes, that was 80s, and it broke down like the politics of a human being and an alienoid humanoid like trying to coexist. Being stranded on an alien world, and they're both enemies. I thought that was a phenomenal, pioneering, and progressive movie. But it still shows that human beings off the cuff would not accept the aliens.
Yeah, well, it makes me wonder why. You're right in that sense, though, too. But it still makes me wonder why we have such a fear of this potentially happening and whatnot. And I think it's because, like I said, it's in popular written fiction, science fiction, and then as film and Hollywood grew, that became exciting stuff to make.
Yeah, they never really switched from that narrative. It was always aliens bad. We always think that any race or any terrestrial creatures that come from somewhere else that have higher intelligence to us are always going to do us in because we're weaker.
Yeah.
Because we're looking, it's a mirror effect. Because we're looking at what we feel like we would do. We're like, like as human beings, we're like, oh, little Bambi, little deers and little rabbits in the forest. We're just going to take this shit over and build shopping malls. Like, we can't think from that template, Maybe they're good. Maybe they want to help us out. Maybe they want to show us the way.
Well, look, let me throw this in the cauldron of stuff we're stirring up here.
Hit me, my guy.
If this is possibly true and could possibly happen, it might be a fairly good bet to say that it maybe already has happened, but they didn't come down in a grandiose way with a ship and the whole big cape and everything.
Big facts.
And it's very easy that with all the things that have taken place, like tens of thousands of years before Jesus Christ and all that stuff, there was clearly some things going on here that the people of those eras could not do on themselves.
Absolutely. All the technological...
So we actually might... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just...
I was adding on. But all the technological advances that have happened like throughout the last 100 years could have been quiet as kept from alien technology. Like, I really believe that.
I really do believe that. You can see it in the early days, and then there seems to be a point from like somewhere like, I don't know, in the 1800s, there was reports of things in the skies and all those kind of things in the 1920s and 30s.
Yeah.
But it really didn't happen until after World War II when the Roswell stuff begins. And then all of a sudden there's just boatloads of recordings and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think they've always been around. I just think as we got a little bit more technology, we were able to see it and understand it better. I don't know if they were that much further advanced than we were when they actually, if such a thing transpired. If you go back tens of thousands of years, they did do things that were ahead of man at that time.
To me,
but
they weren't on a cosmological level. Intergalactic travel would mean they're more advanced.
Yes, I'm not saying that
in some aspects.
Yeah, but I'm not saying they were like billions of years ahead of us.
Oh no.
Because I think there's something.
I'm with you there.
Yeah. I think there's actually something somewhat simple to how time travel actually transpires, and they figured it out. Because if they did come here years ago, like it looks like they did, none of their crafts and things are really that much more advanced than what we can surmise today.
Yes.
Like the cutting of the stones, obviously, were obviously high-tech lasers of some nature.
Real shit.
And then the way they lifted like 150-ton boulders, they obviously did it with crafts.
Yes.
But they didn't. There wasn't like we had like digital electronic technology in those lands. So everything was sort of was all around the stars and the way the sun moved.
Absolutely.
So they were maybe another 100 years or so. Let's say 100 years or so more advanced than we are right now in 2020.
No, I'm with
and we're getting closer. That's why we're seeing more of them popping up now. They're watching us more.
Yeah, they're like, oh, look at the baby planet Earth. They're starting to come around. We can start to integrate more. So let me talk about this. Occupational prejudice. Okay.
Look at it right now with China.
Food services.
Yeah.
You go to McDonald's, right? You look in the back, and there's little B-werp, like
some
back
dude with
there,
6 arms.
Yeah, flipping your burgers. Do you feel comfortable?
I don't know necessarily. I mean, he could be honkering into the hamburger on me.
Yeah.
It's like,
we don't know. Is it slime? Does he have spores? What's up with his physiology? Because think about it. There's even the movies that I named earlier. There's a lot of different movies. A lot of the Marvel movies, like Venom.
It's got
Infinity
technology.
War. That's all aliens, okay? Even the Blob. And I reference the Blob because it was a spore. It was bacteria that just enhanced this big thing. So we don't know what they could give off that might infect our food.
Well, that's why they probably would never be accepted that easily. There would have to be some transitional time before we knew exactly. Like if you go to Africa on a vacation and you drink some of the water and have some of the food, you're going to get this dysentery.
It's going to be under scrutiny.
Yeah, and you're going to get this dysentery kind of stuff going on. It's going to take a while for your body and all the gut factors in there get changed and adapts to things.
Yeah.
So whatever these aliens have in there, they're going to be infecting food. So people are going to be sick for a couple of years. I don't really see how it could ever necessarily happen. So that's why I think the aliens went around it the other way.
So
they integrated and mated with us.
Let's shift gears. Government office. Senators. Obviously not president. But, senators. Congress. Do we feel comfortable having aliens being in Congress?
I
make it policy law. Because there's one aspect that thinks they can have a higher mind state. Like human beings invented racism.
Oh,
they invented prejudice. We invented greed.
Smart people did that.
Yeah. So maybe aliens are of a higher culture and a higher standard where they don't have that. So we bring them in. But at the same time,
we have no idea what kind of slavery and kind of shit they have behind the scenes. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. And we don't know how human beings might affect the aliens. Where they may be like, hold up. You saying it's cool if you're the stronger, more intelligent race to take over the weaker race, and then they just decide
well, they
humans are weaker. We have the better technology. We have better, weaponry. Let's just take you fuckers over. That's something to think about. So do we put them in the highest offices in the positions of control where they can start to undermine our way of life, just by being in these offices?
Well, I think we'd like to have them in there. I think some people would like to have them in those positions, but they still have to vet this stuff out.
Unbiased opinion, but then there's the idea like they might try to take over. So that goes.
That's always going to be there. But they're going to have to try to test them. They're going to have to vet it out to see if it actually works. Nobody really knows. I mean, it just seems like something that just doesn't work. Like even in some of the films where they played around with it, like we had the film with Will Smith on Netflix, which was almost like a little loosely like the film called ALIENATION with James Gunn, where we have aliens already integrated into society. And they're working hard and they're intelligent. I think in ALIENATION, the original film, but one of the aliens Brightburn.
Yes.
Okay. One of the aliens is actually a partner of Will Smith's. In the original film, he was a partner of.
It wasn't Brightburn. That was the other movie. It was called Bright.
Bright.
The Will Smith movie, 2017. It was called Bright. But yeah.
So you see in those films where those aliens are integrated into society, but they're still not able to do what they need to do, and then the aliens have to prove that they actually they'll take a bullet for the mankind, and this and that. But people are still going to, no matter here we have humans in our world today that are different colors, and we still don't trust them. You're going to trust a guy with purple stripes and green eyes and shit?
And we don't even know, like, if they have, like, ESP, like telekinesis, like, or how, like, being on, like, in our atmosphere, on our planet, with our gravity, how that affects them and how they may, over time, develop powers that may be able to overcome us. Human beings are a very fearful race. As a species, like, we're very fearful, so, like, we're always thinking, who could come and overthrow us?
Sure.
Because we do so much overthrowing.
We do it nonstop. I mean, look at this. Arthur C. Clarke wrote about this at the beginning of 2001.
Arthur C. Clarke, the man.
When man, the early forms of man, the apes, in the beginning of the films, he said, they actually have a tendency to they found another race that was not as smart as they were, but they had water, but the other guys had weaponry. They just went in and said, like, well, I'm going to take that technology and I'm going to take that over and relinquish my foes. And this is the first time man got smarter and he decided he was already going to war. So it's inevitable that this is going to happen. And just because of that fact, if that was the case, and we did actually have aliens that were here in somewhat of a closer humanoid format to the way that we look at it,
true that.
We would probably react just as defensively as Clark's story had the apes
Absolutely.
in there. So no matter what, it's a great topic. I just think
we're going to have to come back to it.
We're going to have to, because mankind is never going to adjust that easily. That's going to take hundreds of years. But we're going to come back and we're going to talk more about this.
Alienation, baby.
Thank you much for listening.
It's the weigh-in.
Woo-woo. I mean, I still think if you're already having sex, you still have to realize that when she makes a nice smile, doesn't mean it's not time to fool around on the bush.
Big fact.
That's what I was kind of.
No.
No. Yeah. But if you're not getting sex, you follow these rules. You're golden.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've met many males that have done that. But they usually take it personal. They get mad. They get all nervous. They get breakouts on their face.
No. But that's very, very true.
It's two sides of that story.
Even if she smiles, even if you're already having sex, just because she smiles or punches you around a little bit doesn't mean it's time to jump into sex. So, number 5, increase your sexual market value. Develop a fit body. Exercise regimen. And you develop a fit body not to look like a chiseled, Instagram model dude, but it's more in the lines of, like, if you go back to, like, genetic inclusive fitness, that Darwinianism, like, if you're active, if you're strong, you just make for a better sexual mate. A rigorous hygiene protocol, aka take baths and use deodorant every single day.
Oh yeah,
as much as you can. Develop a sense of style. You don't have to have anything crazy. But just have some. Be nice and neat.
Yeah,
just be nice and neat. Nothing. You don't need nothing crazy. And the accoutrements.